Every single year, it shows up right on schedule. We talk about it, we try to prep for it, and, well, a lot of us end up getting it. But the flu, influenza, it's so much more than just a bad cold that ruins a week. It's a really smart, constantly changing viral enemy. So today, let's pull back the curtain and unmask this microscopic invader.
We all know that feeling, right? One minute you're fine, the next you're hit with exhaustion, aches, and a fever. It's something almost everyone has gone through. But what is actually happening inside our bodies? What is this virus really doing that makes us feel so absolutely terrible? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the flu, let's start with what we all know best, how it feels. It's so easy to just write it off as a really bad cold. But those symptoms, they're telling a story of a pretty intense battle going on inside your body. Now, here's the twist. You might think these symptoms are from the virus itself, just tearing through your cells. But really, most of what you feel is the sign of your own body launching an all-out war. That high fever, those deep muscle aches, that pounding headache, that's the feeling of your immune system hitting the big red button and fighting back hard. For most of us, this internal war lasts about a week, maybe 2, and then we're back on our feet. But for some people, that fight can become completely overwhelming, and it can lead to some really serious complications. This is exactly why you hear public health officials take the flu so seriously every single year. So for the groups you see here, young kids, the elderly, pregnant women, and people with certain chronic conditions, their bodies might struggle to handle that massive immune response. Their systems can get overwhelmed, and that can lead to dangerous complications like pneumonia, sometimes in a scarily short amount of time.
All right, we've seen what the flu does to us, but now let's flip the script and go behind enemy lines. How in the world is this tiny, invisible particle so good at taking down a fully grown human? Well, it all comes down to its very clever battle plan.
So what's its secret weapon? What makes it so effective?
The answer is literally written all over its surface.
The virus is armed with a very specific set of tools that make it an expert at invading our bodies. First, let's meet the family. There are 4 types of influenza virus. Now, C and D, they don't really cause as much trouble. Our big annual fight is almost always with influenza A and influenza B. These are the 2 culprits behind the seasonal epidemics that we all brace for every year. Now, I want you to picture the surface of a flu virus. It's not smooth. It's actually covered in these little spikes, which are 2 very important proteins. And these are not just for decoration. They are the essential tools the virus needs to break into our cells and spread the infection. The first tool is called hemagglutinin. We'll just call it H. Think of H as the virus's master key. Its entire job is to float around until it finds the perfect lock on one of your respiratory cells. It latches on and basically tricks your cell into opening the door and letting the virus right in. No key, no entry. Okay, so once it's inside, the virus turns your cell into a copy machine, making thousands of new viruses. But there's a problem. All those new copies are stuck to the cell. That's where the second tool comes in, neuraminidase, or N. It acts like a pair of molecular scissors, snipping the new viruses free so they can escape and launch a full-scale invasion on other cells. And this is where those names you always hear on the news come from. H1N1 just means the virus has hemagglutinin type 1 and neuraminidase type 1. H3N2 has different versions of that key and slicer. And believe it or not, knowing which version is going around, like H3N2, can actually help experts predict how severe a flu season might be. So we've met the virus and we know about its tools, the key and the slicer. Now let's put it all together and watch the invasion unfold step by step to see exactly how all this makes you feel so sick. The attack is just brutally efficient. First, entry. Then the H key finds its lock and gets the virus inside. The virus immediately hijacks the cell, turning it into a virus factory. And finally, the N slicer cuts all the new viruses loose, releasing a whole army to repeat the cycle over and over again, spreading the infection like wildfire. This number, 48 hours, is incredibly important. The whole virus copying process really peaks around 48 hours after it starts. For those high-risk groups we mentioned, this is a critical window. Life-threatening complications like pneumonia can pop up in as little as 48 hours from the very first symptom. The sheer speed of this virus is what makes it so dangerous.
The virus has its battle plan for sure, but we have our own. So let's shift gears to our medical counteroffensive and look at how we diagnose this thing and, more importantly, how we can effectively fight back.
So when it comes to treatment, our best weapons are the neuraminidase inhibitors. Why? Well, they go straight for the virus's slicer protein. They basically jam the scissors, so all those newly made viruses get trapped inside the cell and can't escape to infect others. And they work on both flu A and B. The older drugs, the edamontins, are not recommended anymore because, frankly, the virus has outsmarted them and is highly resistant.
Now, those antiviral drugs can definitely help, especially if you start them early, but they really just shorten the illness by a day or two. This means our most powerful strategy isn't fighting the virus once it's already launched an invasion. It's stopping it from ever getting in the door in the first place.
And that, of course, brings us to the annual flu shot, our #1 tool for prevention. It works by giving your immune system a sneak peek of what the virus's H and N proteins look like. It's like giving your body a training manual so it can recognize and destroy the real invader immediately. The recommendations are super broad because the goal isn't just protecting yourself. It's about protecting the entire community.
And that leads us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. Winning this annual battle against the flu isn't just about what you do for yourself. It really is a team sport. Lowering the flu's impact takes everyone: doctors, nurses, pharmacists, public health officials, and, yes, you. As our source material here puts it, it's only through this kind of interprofessional approach that we can really bring down the sickness and death that the flu causes each year.
So, what's your role on the team? It's actually a pretty simple defensive plan. Get the vaccine that protects you and the people around you who might be more vulnerable. Basic stuff like washing your hands is a surprisingly powerful barrier. And if you do get sick, staying home isn't just for you to get better. It's a huge public health service that breaks the chain of infection. We'll end on this thought. Influenza is a master of disguise. It is constantly changing, mutating its H and N proteins just enough to evade our immune systems. That's why we need a new vaccine every single year. This creates a constant race between the virus's evolution and our scientific innovation. The real question isn't just if we can win the battle this year, but if our strategies can evolve fast enough to keep up in this long ongoing war.